Hello, good afternoon. It's Chukuma, also known as the Mastermind from Mastermind Automobile Solutions Limited. I'm just test driving a car we just fixed, and a topic just came to mind. Most of these videos are related to a lot of the work we do. Brake failure. Most car owners don't want to witness brake failure because brake failure is actually dangerous and can cost lives. So let's talk about some of the causes of brake failure. Um, the first cause would be contaminated brake fluid. A lot of people don't pay attention to their brake fluid. They are just in their car, and if there is no braking issue, the brake fluid just remains there. Yes, it may seem right, but you're actually supposed to change your brake fluid, flush it out at intervals. A lot of vehicle manuals will say flush out your brake fluid every 2 years. If it's been long there, flush it out, put in new fluid, and get things running as they should. It's important. Contaminated brake fluid can actually lead to brake failure. Another thing that can lead to brake failure is a faulty master cylinder. We see that one a lot. Your brake pedal is suddenly depressing, going down lower than it should, you know, and in some cases it outrightly won't even hold, the brake won't be sharp, and that has caused many accidents. So if you notice that your brake is not as sharp as it was, your brake pedal is depressing more than it's supposed to or it used to, take that car in to be checked. The brake master cylinder may be bad. ABS can also be responsible for brake failure. With ABS, a lot of people ignore it in some cars. Normal driving can still occur. But when you have an ABS light, take that car in, to be scanned so that you know exactly what the problem is. In some cases, it could just be sensor. In some cases, the ABS lines from the pump can be blocked, and it can mess things up and result in brake failure. So once you have that light, get it checked, get it fixed. Another thing that can cause brake failure is overheating of the braking system, and this happens when most people are descending hills and they are applying the brake. They are just keeping their foot on the brake. There's a way to drive when you're descending hills continuously. You're supposed to brake, take off your feet, brake, take off your feet, so that the braking system will breathe. The brake pad, brake disc, the disc, the rotors will breathe. If you keep pressing, depressing that brake pedal, you could heat up the system, and at some point you can notice brake failure. A lot of people have noticed this when they are traveling. All those roads that have a lot of hills going down, you're supposed to be careful with them so that you don't heat up the system and lose braking power. You know, Another thing is when you have leakages in the brake lines, all the wheels that control braking, there are brake lines around them. So if there's a leakage, you will lose brake fluid through those lines that are leaking. And if you're losing brake fluid, it will also result in brake failure over time. The brake fluid is what helps power things up, lubricate things for that brake to work as it should. Then, when you have cases of extremely worn brake pads and brake shoes, normally known as linings in Nigeria, if your brake pad has worn completely, we've seen situations where the brake pad wore, it got so low, it wore completely that it fell out of the car, and the car lost braking. So you need to check these things every routine service. Your mechanic should check them so that you don't lose braking power and your brake pads don't go as low as falling out of the car and making you lose braking of the vehicle. So check your car properly, look out for these signs, don't joke with them, don't joke with brake issues. Thank you for watching. I hope this helps someone out there.